Hello guys and welcome to a brand new video. Today I'm here with Tomo-chan is a girl episode number 10 reaction. Alright, the previous episode it was Carol's episode and we get to see the conclusion to her her and Misaki's the whole situation, the story. And yeah, it was very interesting to see how Carol was actually putting up like a happy face, because she usually takes other people's things a bit too seriously, and her mom was like, oh, you look cute while you smile, so you should always keep smiling, and she took it too literally, and she never really cried and anything, always made that face all the time, which made Misaki intimidated to talk about his feelings to Carol, because he thought that, oh, she's always smiling, she's so much more stronger mentally than me, unlike me, who is always kind of cowering and hiding behind people. So like that. And we get to see how Misuzu actually kind of in a very, you could say, in a way which would actually make her friendship with Carol a little bit bad. She took that way to stick together Carol and Misaki, which by the end kind of worked. And yeah, in the end, Carol, Misaki confessed to Carol, and Carol was happy. Everything ended up pretty positively. So there you go, a happy ending for her story. Let's get to see what happens to our original main couple and how that proceeds. Episode number 10, let's get started. I'll be putting the subtitles and the timer here, sync it to whichever is your preference, and let's begin. Right, here's the countdown. 3, 2, 1, go. Okay. All right. So we're gonna have a marathon today. A week's worth. Wow. Who the? Oh my God. Yeah. All right. Okay. Oh wow, there's a lot of them. Damn. Well, they're conserving their energy for you know for later. Oh no, opening today. How the contest ends. Wow, they are so far ahead. My God. Hmm. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Oh boy. Wow, that's oh, it'll be funny to see her. Oh no, are they going to make this a I knew it. They're going to make this a competition. Wow. All right, is that the I don't think that's the goal. No, what's that? Girls turn. Oh, they're going to. Oh yeah, yeah, they're going to go to, because the course is different. Well, she doesn't care. Yeah, exactly. This is such an interesting parallel to the whole, like I'm a boy, you're a girl, that's why, we can never be best friends, that type of thing, which Jun was talking about a few days ago, few episodes ago. Damn, come on. Ooh. Oh. Okay, don't trip and fall. Oh, I was just saying that. Wait, what happened? Is she sick? Yeah. What? What? Oh, wow. That's why, obviously. Oh my god, great. She was in the bath. Yeah. Damn. Yeah. Mm. Well, gotta carry her. Damn, look at the muscles. Uh, Alright, there you go. What? What? Oh, she's so surprised. She's like, this never happens. Oh, damn. Oh, yeah, because she was sick. He needed to come quickly, as quick as possible. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, take that thing with you. Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah. Hmm. No. Come on, say yeah, that I cannot. Well, wow. Yeah. um. Oh my god. Mm. Ah, she said the same thing. What the? Okay, stop. Ah, well. Damn. Oh my god. Yeah. Hmm. Oh, the Game Boy. Uh, yeah. Mm. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like, you know, they're on the same to stay to stay best friend. Okay, whoa. Oh. Mm. Got natural talent. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. He didn't know that she's a girl. You know. Here we go. He'll be like, oh my god. Yeah. Great. Imagine realizing that. My god. Oh lord. Here we go. Here we go. Yeah. But not to worry, you're a dense anime protagonist, so you're not at fault here. Yeah, yeah, obviously. Because everyone knows she's a girl, but. Oh my god, she was the one who started all of this. Great. So this is what started everything. Oh my god. And here we go. His eyes. Oh, he ignored her. Eesh. Also, this was the 1 year when, oh, makes sense. Like when he hooked up with Misuzu for 3 days or whatever, and then on the final day, yeah, yeah, he patched up with Tomo, and this is where everything started. I wonder when Tomo started liking him. Oh, there you go. This is where, oh wow, everything's connecting now. Wow. Ah, interesting. Okay. Hmm. Yep. Okay, here we go. Here he says that. Here we go. All right, there you go. And I'm guessing this was the trigger that started everything when Tomo probably real. Okay. And Gunda also wanted, because she wanted someone coming between them so that Tomo. Okay. Yeah. Interesting. But I still don't understand why. When did Tomo start liking him then? Like, because Tomo didn't know that he was going with Misuzu. So then, that, wow. First name. Yep. Yeah. Oh boy. Oh boy. Yeah. Yeah, the whole marathon. This happened. She was like, "Wait, this is second Tomo. What's the difference? This is Tomo part two." Exactly. Exactly. She, she wanted to. Oh my god. Good god. Oh wow. And then, damn. Hmm. You probably do, but Wow. Mm. It's the first time she actually smiled. And then this happens. He's like, I'm sorry, Gundo, I cannot. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, well, here we go. Great. Okay, and here. Ah, okay. Oh, wait. Oh, is this what? No. Oh, okay, wait a minute. Damn! Well, yeah, he kind of ignored her multiple times before, so. Yeah, there you go. Hmm. Oh my god! Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, and so this is where it happens. Great. Oh my god. Wow. This is what? But now he is changing his mind a little bit. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. What? Oh, okay. Wait, you're realizing that now? Wait, what? Wait, June is singing this time. Wow. Okay, this is very clever. Usually it's Tomo, but here we are seeing June's perspective as well. Impatient line. This is Misaki's voice actor, yeah, and this is Jun's voice actor. Wow, this is. I was not expecting an ending song like I'm suddenly like this. Okay, that's it. Wow, I was not expecting this ending suddenly, and yeah, that was really good. Okay, let's talk about this episode. All right, so this episode we begin with a marathon, and as always, Jun and Tomo both are like, oh, let's do it, we we're going to run, and let's see who wins this and that, they're just having that, the whole conversation. And Mrs. and Carol are like, but they're not even on the same route, because Tomo is going on the Tomo's a girl, so she'll go on a different route. But they don't even know, and they don't care. They're like, yeah, let's do it. And the marathon starts as always. Tomo and Jun just speed up ahead, and I love how Carol and Mrs. were just walking, and then they're like, "All right, fine, let's run." So, all right, the marathon happens. Marathon is ongoing, and you can see that Tomo is like, oh, come on, June, I'm definitely going to defeat you, and their usual rivalry is ongoing. The teacher swooshes past them on a little motorbike. Usually, they're usually so over competitive about everything that they're like, oh, no one is going to run past me, so they start chasing the teacher. Fun stuff. Okay, so here interesting thing happens here is where June realizes and sees the cone. He's like, oh, wait a minute. This is the part where Tomo's going to go in a different route because, she's a girl. And he's like, oh, I got so excited I didn't even notice. And this is a recurring theme of this show is where we get to see Jun always thinking about, oh, since I'm a boy, Tomo's a girl, what will other people think about if we are friends? Will they, look at it in a different way? And, will we, what's going to happen? We cannot stay as friends because, we're, Tomo's a girl and I'm a boy. This is one thing that we've been seeing from from the beginning of this show, and this is like the main thing that occupies Jun's head most of the time. And we can see him also thinking of that same thing here again. However, it's crazy how Tomo just just bypassed the thing, didn't even look at it, and kept running. And Jun was like, "What's going on, Tomo? You're supposed to branch from here." And she's like, I don't care. I don't care where, if I'm going on the wrong path, I'm going to defeat you, and that's all. And that's basically the whole thing. This is something that we actually need for their relationship to actually progress. Is Jun realizing that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if she's a girl, she's a boy. It doesn't matter. If you want to be a friend with someone, keep being a friend with someone. It doesn't matter if there's a boy or a girl. Not only that, there's also another thing that I feel there's a big need to talk about here is that friendship and love, these two things. Here's the thing, you know, um, obviously June is like kind of thinking about like, oh, what's since she's a girl, if people we saw that if people saw us talking, they're going to misinterpret and they'll be like, oh, she's going out with him or something like that. That is something that June was a little bit, what can I say, like didn't want Tomo or him to kind of face that. He didn't want that, and that's why he started avoiding Tomo, because he thought that, oh, it's the same thing is going to happen. People are going to bother her with it. People are going to bother me with it. However, this definitely doesn't mean that June doesn't want Tomo, doesn't look at Tomo as a girl, and he don't doesn't want to kind of like go out with her. This doesn't mean that you know he's just someone which I was able to realize in this episode. He's someone who kind of looks at their relationship as their friendship as something special, and he doesn't want anyone else misinterpreting it or bothering them, Tomo or him, in that way. This obviously doesn't mean that he doesn't look like at Tomo as a girl. That's a completely different matter. That's why I'm saying this friendship and love is a completely different matters, both. you know we most of the times what we do is overlap both with each other, and everyone does that, and that is exactly why when they were spending time as friends, people were like, oh, look at them, they're talking together, they must all the time they're together, they must be going out, you know. Tomo and obviously Tomo doesn't care about what was going on, what people talked about. Just like we see here, where Tomo doesn't care about the cone, she surpassed that and she doesn't care. She's like, I don't care what the cone can't tell me what to do. While Jun is the type of person who looks at the cone, looks at the cone and he was thinking like, oh, this is the end, which is the same thing that he does and he did before as well, where looking at people talking about Tomo and him like that, he stopped. He stopped and started spending less time with her as he got more conscious of her. So this is one interesting thing, which I think that's what's going on, and I realized I wouldn't call it a bit late, but I always had this feeling. But it's pretty obvious from this episode is that it doesn't matter if Jun likes Tomo or not. The thing that is confirmed here is that his friendship with Tomo is something that he doesn't want others to kind of misinterpret. Yeah, he can like Tomo, definitely, as a girl. That's a completely separate matter. That's a separate matter. His friendship with Tomo is something that he looks at in a very special way. He can love her obviously as a girl, but that doesn't mean their friendship is going to he's not going to let anything happen to that friendship. That love will be a separate thing from this. However, the friendship will remain, which is something I have to say is very interesting. Obviously, I'm pretty sure the way this anime is going, I'm sure they'll end up together by the end, and it'll be interesting to see, because I don't think we've ever seen two characters before who values their friendship, and at the same time, if they start going out together, they'll also have another different aspect to their relationship. It's like a relationship where they both love each other, and a relationship where they are best friends with each other, which is kind of something unique, because I don't think I remember any anime which actually kind of showed us a character like this, who are good friends with someone, but at the same time are are going out with each other. There must have been some animes, but this show is very we can actually see it happening in front of us, and this will be a very interesting thing to see, because we can see how Jun friendship with Tomo is definitely Jun. You can call Tomo Jun's best friend, and vice versa. So that in itself is obviously a special bond. On top of that, if he starts going out with Tomo, that'll be like a unbreakable bond if you think about it. Either way, I'm looking forward to how this is going to end. I'm sure they'll end up together the way this is going, but yeah, this will be very interesting to see how it goes. So there you go. You can see how Tomo and Jun, how Tomo doesn't care about the cone. She's like, I don't care about the cone. I'm going to go wherever I want to. While Jun was a few moments ago, he was kind of thinking oh, Tomo will change track from here. What was I thinking? Why was I getting excited? But then he realizes that Tomo doesn't care. Tomo's like, yeah, it doesn't matter the cone is here or not. I want to compete with you. That's all. You want to compete with me, don't you? And Jun was smiling. So very good thing, very, very interesting way they showed this part, which shows how Jun and Tomo's way of looking at two things are different. And this is exactly why Jun always kind of thinks too much about the surroundings and kind of isn't able to properly interact with Tomo, kind of worrying about what other people will think and what their relationship means, and that type of thing. And that's the thing. And another thing I feel that is happening here now is Jun is afraid of starting to like Tomo, because he probably thinks that if I start liking Tomo, our friendship will get destroyed. Like I said, he treasures the friendship with Tomo very much, and that is why he's usually doesn't try to look at Tomo as a girl, because he thinks that their relationship will get changed in a different way, where their friendship will break or something. That's also something that I feel he intrinsically feels. He probably doesn't realize it, but in his heart he probably fears that, and that's why he always tries to not look at Tomo as a girl in case he starts liking him, starts liking her. Either way, so yeah, we get to see Misaki kind of running, and I love how he was like, oh, I'm stronger now, yes, But then when he sees both Tomo and Jun coming back, he's like, never mind. I need to try more hard. Either way, Jun is running and Tomo's going fast. Jun is running fast. Tomo trips. And Jun is like, what's going on? Realizes she's sick. And she talks about how she went running the previous day, came back extremely tired, went in the into the bathtub, just stayed there for the whole night because she fell asleep or whatever. And obviously because of that she caught a cold, I'm sure, and now she is sick. So Jun is like, oh, I don't have any phone, what should I do? How can I go up until then? It's a long way. So anyways, he's like, okay, fine, let me do it. And he grabs Tomo and carries her back. When Tomo wakes up, I love how Carrie's sleeping beside her. Misuzu's like grabbing her hand and she's like, oh, are you okay? Oh, she's like, oh, keep calm and listen to me, you have a cold. This is such a rare thing, that Misuzu freaked out. This never happens. So I think this is the first time Misuzu saw Tomo sick. So she's like freaking out. She's like, damn. Either way, Tomo's like, oh, I was looking forward to the marathon. I made this a troublesome situation for Jun as well. But Misuzu's like stop. Just listen to me. And this is a perfect opportunity because you never get sick. You cannot usually show your weaker side. So try to do that in front of Jun and try to get the most out of it. Gives her that advice. And when Jun comes in, she's like, okay, I'm going to go. And takes Carol and goes away. Jun and Tomo's sitting down. They have a conversation. And Tomo's like, oh, you and Misuzu are being too nice today. And he's like, oh, you usually don't get sick. Either way, Jun is happy that everything is fine. Jun is like, alright, your mom is coming to pick you up. I'll leave. And here is where Tomo realizes perfect opportunity to do what Misuzu told. She's like, oh, I cannot move. You carried me on your back, didn't you? Carry me back to the car. And she's like, no, let's do it again. I was unconscious. I didn't properly get carried on your back. So I want to see that again. Either way, Tomo, he takes Tomo to the car, and he says the same thing to Tomo when Tomo says oh, I'm sorry about this. He says don't worry. If you're having trouble with something, of course I'm going to help you. The same thing that Tomo told him when he was a child, And yeah, then there you go. The dad also comes following them. And next day, she's fine. She's okay. Juno went to take a look at her, and she is the picture of health. So here is where Tomo gives Jun back the game console, and she's like, okay, take this with you. And she says, you said you'd take it back when you were a stronger man than me, right? You better not have it in your head that you can beat me in everything now. I won't lose to anyone on my own turf. But that goes for both of us as well. Yeah. Yeah, so there you go. So she's like, yeah, this doesn't mean that you're going to win against everything. Stuff that's in my turf, obviously I'm going to win on that, So let's do our best, and both of us. And what, you have a problem with being on same even footing as me? And one part of the whole thing got kind of resolved, I guess you could say. The whole game console thing. Jun always kind of thought that, oh, I am not close to her. I cannot help her out when she needs me because she's way stronger than me. Tomo can handle everything. All these things that was in his head. Obviously by giving the game console back, you can say that at least Tomo has acknowledged him to be equal footing with her. So that's one thing. Like I said, this is the first part of her at least being able to look at Tomo as a girl. This game console was one, I wouldn't call it an obstacle, but it was something that he needed to overcome. And now he kind of has done that, and he has acknowledged it. Tomo has acknowledged it. So this is barely the start. It's like an indicator. So from here on things are going to change. And then we get a little backstory, And like we see Jun defeating Tomo, like and recounting the tale. And here we get to see how Jun was like, oh, like I got you, and Tomo's like, haha, you finally caught up to me. I knew it was going to happen one day or the other. And Tomo's dad was like, oh, that happened sooner than I expected. Now obviously Jun is confused. Jun is like, what are you talking about? What happened? What are you going to, like. And she's like, she always says Tomo's got natural talent, Tomo's mom, that no matter what sport Tomo plays, no one else will stand a chance. But walking the path I walk is the path where one can't choose one's own opponents. Obviously, at this point, Jun was extremely confused because he's like, what are they even talking about? Like, but this dude doesn't know that she's a girl, so that's why it's obvious to be confused. He's like, what are they talking about? What, like, like I just defeated her once, so what does this mean? Next day is the day when he gets the answer. He goes to school and he's like, oh, finally, like in the same school as Tomo, and looks at her, sees that she's wearing a skirt, and he's like, what is this? Like, dude, like, why are you wearing a skirt? And yeah, this is where he realizes that she's a girl. So it's so funny. Misuzu was like, oh, that idiot. Like, I knew he was an idiot, but I didn't know he went this far. But either way, here we go. Now, another thing happens here. First of all, Tomo says like, I don't care, like, and neither of us cares about the stuff, who's a boy or a girl. So as you can see, she still doesn't, like, like, look at him as like someone of the, like, who she wants to get closer to, in a more romantic way. She still doesn't have that. I was kind of curious when that's going to happen, and we do get to see what happens here, and it's an interesting, sequence of events that goes. And okay, so the first thing that happens is, like, here we see that obviously at this point Tomo doesn't look at Jun as the person, of affections. She just likes him as a very best friend. Okay, so that's why she said like, oh, who cares if I'm a boy or a girl, it doesn't matter. But however, we see Jun, he's rattled. He's like, wait a minute, Tomo's a girl. Why haven't I noticed? And he realizes there were multiple hints, but it never really caught up to him. And then someone comes in and they're like, oh, are you going out with Tomo or something? And he realizes that, wait a minute, it's true. Like, I always act with her as like one of my best friends, best guy friends. But for people who doesn't know that I have this misconception, they would think that we're hanging out together, and they would think that, oh, maybe we're going out or something. So he's thinking that, oh yeah, that must have, that must be happening. So he goes to call Tomo, and you can see him being a little bit, what's that word? A little bit shy, a little bit, like kind of conscious about the whole thing, because he was hearing that. And yeah, another thing happens here is, like I said, this was another little trigger where he hears Tomo talking to his friend, her friends in this class, and her friends were like, oh hey, Aizawa-san, are you going out with Kubota-kun from class A? And she's like, haha, no way. And here we go. So okay, he leaves, obviously getting a little bit angry at that, because, however, he doesn't listen to the full answer. She's like, later on Tomo does say that, yeah, he doesn't even see me as a girl. Either way, then he looks at Tomo talking to a few of the guy friends, and he gets, a little bit jealous, obviously, and leaves. Now, interesting thing here, which kind of Misuzu points out later on, Misuzu says that you don't want to replace Tomo as with anyone, and that is why you don't try to make friends. However, here you can see that obviously Jun realizes that, yeah, Tomo has multiple friends other than him. So, this whole situation, he felt a little bit, you could say, left out. And, like, seeing, obviously he himself got that impression, and he himself stopped talking to Tomo. But this was like an actual, I guess you could say like a little envy, a little jealousy. because for him, Tomo was the only one. However, Tomo has multiple friends, and seeing that, like he got a little bit conflicted about the whole situation, and got afraid to interact with her or talk to her, and got conscious about it. So we can see that when Tomo's like, "Oh, Jun, what's up?" and Jun just ignores her and just leaves. And then, like, a whole year went by, and like, he was never able to apologize to Tomo. And this was the whole year where he barely talked to Tomo, which we got to know before. So they just barely became acquaintances who just talked to themselves when necessary. But Jun does want to apologize to Tomo, and he's like, "Oh no, this is going badly." And while this was happening, another thing was happening on the sidelines. Misuzu is like, good God, like Tomo is like, like just going full on, like, just playing soccer, playing, like, so many different things, climbing mountains, climbing trees, hanging out with the boys. I cannot keep up with this. You know, Misuzu was like, I thought she's going to calm down when she, like, like grew up. But yeah, I cannot play the same games that Tomo plays anymore. So it's no way possible. Like, obviously, because I'm pretty sure before Tomo used to probably involve Misuzu in their games as well, probably a little bit of soccer and stuff, but that was just small little games. Here, Tomo's actually playing football with like people just kicking, like, hitting each other. Misuzu definitely won't be able to do anything of that. So Misuzu's like, I cannot keep up with her. But obviously, we got to see this before as well, where we got the hint that Misuzu is trying to, like, stick together Tomo and Jun, because as a result, Tomo is going to come to Misuzu and talk about, like, what is going to make Jun look at her as a girl and want advice about her. So Misuzu will have extra time to spend with Tomo instead of playing soccer and playing other games. Like she can talk to Tomo about stuff that she also likes and where she can participate, which is something that is why Misuzu always said that I'm trying to patch, like, like kind of get these two together because of my selfish reasons as well. And she multiple times said that, and here is where the whole thing starts. She's like, I cannot, like, like keep up with Tomo. So she goes on her own way. Jun is just standing thinking about how to apologize, and he's thinking, how can I become friends with her again? And he says, like, wait a minute, I just need a girlfriend. And he thinks that, no, that wouldn't be fair to the girl, obviously, because he's going to be, using that as an excuse for Tomo, so that thing. And he's like, and it's not even easy to get a girlfriend anyway. And then Mrs. is thinking, if only there was someone else between us, someone who would slow Tomo down a little, who's cautious and has a little common sense. And Jun is thinking, on top of that, it'd have to be a girl who we could hang out with me and Tomo while fully understanding the situation. And he looks at Misuzu, and Misuzu looks at him. And they're like, wait a minute, this is perfect. Okay, so everything starts, like, moving from here. First of all, Misuzu is like, just was like talking to him, and she was like, oh, like, you're alone, you don't seem to have any friends, why don't you try and make friends? And here is where she hits the nail on the head completely. He says that Jun is like, I'm alone because I can't make friends even when I try. And she says, like, that's a lie. You just don't want to replace Tomo. If someone took her place, you might never get the relationship you used to have with her. And that's why he never made friends with her unless and until he apologized. Unless and until he apologized to Tomo, he never really wanted, like, kind of hung out with anyone, because he thought that obviously Tomo's place is going to be taken by someone else if, as a friend, obviously, if he starts making friends. Because obviously Tomo and him are not talking. Like, it was bound to happen if he interacted with other people. So this is one thing he did not want, and this is why I was saying, like, yeah, Jun looks at his friendship with Tomo in a very special way, which I don't think I've seen any anime character do before. And this is a very interesting, like, thing where we can see how, like, friendship and love both can, like, he's trying to struggle. He's struggling to make both exist at the same time. Obviously, he doesn't know about the love part still, but I'm sure they'll get together by the end, and then both will be existing at the same time, friendship and love. They're like best friends with each other, but also they love each other. that type of thing. So it's interesting to see this, and it's interesting to see a character who plays this much, like like what can I say, like this much importance to friendship. Like he wanted Tomo to be his best friend, and that is why he barely interacted with anyone throughout that 1 year when he did not have Tomo talk to Tomo, just because someone else might take that place. That's crazy. And he did that unconsciously, obviously. Okay, okay, now Mrs. tries to go away. She was like, oh, just make to like just uh, like make friends with Tomo again. And here is where he's like, oh, Gundo, let's go out with each other. And here's where Mrs. It struck Mrs. and Mrs. like, yeah, perfect. Wait, this can go. And she's like, yeah, fine. This sounds like fun. All right, so yeah, when they were going back, she kind of directly tells Jun that, oh, I know you don't like me either. So yeah, like just not get too much into it. Okay, so all right, they're having the conversation, and then she's like, all right, let's hold hands. And then they go a little bit, and then I think Mrs. like changed my mind. Can we stop? Your hand is sweaty and gross. Anyways, like later on when they're like leaving, Jun is like, oh, what do you want? And she's like, oh, like you call me by my first name. And he's like, why? And she's like, oh, I call you by my first name. If you don't, then it would seem like it's like a one-sided thing. So I don't want that. Obviously, people knowing, having that misunderstanding. Like I love how Mrs. is so competitive even in these type of situations. And he's like, all right, fine. So this kind of interesting to see here is that Jun goes back and Jun is like, oh, this I never thought this was going to happen. Mitsuzu, is like my first girlfriend, and she's like, oh, she always used to like argue and I usually didn't like her that much. But yeah, this is like a completely different perspective, and he's kind of just laying down, kind of blushing. And we also see Misuzu as well, she's also like, oh, this took a weird turn, I know this is friendship far removed from love and romance with no future at all, but I still feel just a bit. Here's the thing, everything was going actually, you could say, well between these two until the next day when Jun was like, let's go on a motorcycle, like a bicycle, thing, and does the whole how many kilometers did they go, 10 kilometers or something, marathon, mountain bike thing that they did. Next day went fishing and traumatized Misuzu, and there you go, everything broke down completely. Here Misuzu realizes, like, wait a minute, I just stopped. I wanted Tomo to stop going, doing all of these things because I won't be able to catch up with her. I won't be able to keep up with her. This guy, he's doing the same thing with me. And he's basically Tomo part 2. So, nothing changes here, Nothing changes. The way it was before, the same thing is going on with a different person. And Mrs. is like, I cannot keep this up. And it's crazy to see how, oh my god, like. Alright, here we go. Misuzu says, if I tried to spend time with Tomo right now, I'd get exactly what I got from these 2 days with Junichiro. And she's realizing, this cannot go on. I need to stop Tomo from going, full on, in that territory, I want to spend time with her as well, that's why. But at the same time, it's like, there's just no hope for me. And she's like, I thought you might be able to do something, but the way you are now, you're just kicking her into higher gear. There you go. Either way, next day, Mrs. is like full on, depressed. like full on tired. And Tomo's like, what's happened? Like, what's wrong with you? And here, like she says like, oh, I don't think I'll be able to keep being friends with you. And as soon as she hears this, she immediately takes Misuzu out and talks to her. And you can see how she became so serious here, because she probably thought that the same thing that happened with Jun is going to happen here with Misuzu as well. Because you can see that she probably regretted not talking to Jun when she had the time, and they never really talked after that because it became so awkward and 1 year went ahead. you know and she probably regretted it. She probably thought that, oh, I should have talked to him then and there and asked him what was the problem. If I had done that, it wouldn't have been so awkward and we probably would have been still friends. But now I don't even talk to him at all. And she didn't want like a repeat of that. And as soon as she heard that Misuzu said that, she immediately takes her out and like actually sits down and talk to her. And because she realized that it'll be like a repeat of what happened with Jun, and I don't want to lose Misuzu as well. So she brought her out, and she's like talking to her, and she's like, "What's wrong? Like, why did you say that?" And Misuzu says that, "Oh, like because I don't think I can keep playing sports with you or keep running with you." And Tomo directly says like, "What does that matter? Like goofing around with the guys is fun, but the time I spend with being next to you is way more precious." And Mrs. like, oh god, this girl. Where did you learn to say things like that? Either way, Mrs. is like, okay, like, fine. And here she kind of makes like a little, like, like a little example. She's like, oh, wouldn't it be cool for an athlete and some kind of a doctor to be friends? And Mrs. like starts laughing. First time we actually see her laugh, like her actual laugh. So there you go. And then obviously after that, we get to see that scene where Misuzu goes to Jun to reject him, like dump him, but Jun is like, Mrs. I'm sorry, I don't think it's working out. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, like I asked you out, so I'm kind of feeling bad, but like yeah, just like just like let's break up. And yeah, we've seen that scene all like before as well. And I love how he was like, hey Misuzu, what's wrong with you? Misuzu's like, don't you dare call me Misuzu again. Anyways, so here Jun also decides that, okay, let's let's talk to her. It's been 1 year, no problem, let's start again. So he goes and he calls out Tomo. He's like, oh Tomo, how are you? And Tomo's pissed off, obviously. Starts walking. Jun starts following her, and he's thinking like, what should I do? And Tomo's like calling Jun, and when he's not answering, gives him a good punch. And yeah, she directly asks him like, why did you just come up and talk to me out of the blue suddenly today after you avoided me all this time for a whole year? Okay, so taking this opportunity, Jun is like, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that, don't cry. And she hits him again. And here we go. Here he opens up. He says like, I thought being around me would make it awkward, and he says like, oh, you've been worrying about something that stupid? If you and I both want to be together like we've always been, who the hell cares what anyone else thinks? There you go. This is the most important thing. Like I said, this is Tomo's personality. She doesn't care what others think. She's going to go straight towards her goal. Just like the marathon where the cone didn't make her stop to going to her goal. Her goal was to defeat Jun. So it doesn't matter where the cone was. She just went past it and started going past it. While Jun was thinking about oh, what what are other people going to think with my relationship with Tomo? That's the type of personality he has. He thinks about that kind of went too far in that and stopped talking to Tomo, And here as well in the marathon, he does the same thing where he was like, oh, there's the cone. Now we'll have to split up. But for Tomo, she's like, I don't care, don't what other people say. The fact is that we do have fun with each other. We talk to each other. We're best friends. That's all that matters. I don't care what other people say. So yeah, Tomo says like, well, so what do you want to do? And then he says that, here we go, and here's everything that happens. Like, here's where Tomo starts liking Jun, I'm pretty sure. He says like, I want to be with you just like we always have been, and I want to be like that forever. And yeah, I'm pretty sure this is where she started liking him. And she's like, so just be with me then, as friends. And he's like, oh, best buds forever. And here we go. Here's the whole misunderstanding, not misunderstanding, I would say, but the whole thing, the whole dynamic of Tomo tries to make Jun look at her as a girl. However, Jun looks at him as a, like, like a bro. That type of thing happened. And yeah, here Jun kind of says like, I never thought we would change. I thought it'd be best if we never changed. But then I changed. I think she has too. So I will have to think of a way I can still be with her forever. I'm pretty sure there's a very easy answer to that, you know? Yeah, and that's what he thinks. And he goes out and he says, I have to face her head on. And when she looks at her properly, she looks at someone, she's like, oh, isn't she quite cute? And he realizes that now. I love the next part is it changes to the ending song, and we see Jun actually his perspective on the whole ending song. And this is crazy seeing how Jun, like, because up until now the ending song we saw Tomo looking at Jun and all that, but here we can see that from here onwards Jun is also properly looking at Tomo, you know, just in the classroom, like that scene where Tomo's sitting down and Jun is just looking at her. And yeah, that was like, that ending song was obviously different, but it was very interesting to see, like, like the ending song being Jun's way Jun started looking at Tomo. That is why, like, the drastic change. And this is a very good episode again, like, a perfect episode. And this actually became, I guess you could say, like the beginning of a change. As soon as he got the gaming console back, I knew everything is going to change, and everything is starting to change now. Now you can see that Jun is looking at Tomo as a girl, obviously. And like he said, that I need to think of a way to, like way that we could still be together. Like, we are best friends, obviously, but that doesn't mean we can be together forever. So I need to start to look at a way so that we can be together forever. And obviously I'm pretty sure, like, this is going towards the ending that I'm pretty sure everyone expects it to be. They're going to get together, because that's the only answer if you think about it. If you're not friends, if you want to be together, you just need to get, like, I don't know, get married or something. That's the only way I can see. So that's the most simplest option out there. So yeah, there you go. That is, I'm pretty sure that's the way this is going towards. And it's crazy, like I said, this guy, he actually bases everything off on their friendship. It's crazy how he's thinking, like, oh, I want to keep being with Tomo forever. Obviously, like, like, he's her best friend, but he knows, like, that could, like, take them towards so much, like, at like certain point. After that, obviously Tomo will have her own life, Jun will have his own life, if they never become closer than friends. So he realized that extent, and just because he wants to stay together with Tomo forever, like, he's now trying to think of a different way, obviously, which will probably make him realize that he likes Tomo. So because of his friendship, he's trying to stay together. This is crazy. I've never seen a plot like this before, where the guy or the girl, the guy here, obviously, is so, like, like, his friendship is so strong that he's thinking, how can I be together with this person? And by the end, he's going to come up with the solution that, oh, I just need to start going out with her and get married, and then we can stay together forever. I'm sure that's the way this is going towards. So everything is based on his friendship. His friendship is like the main foundation of everything that's going to happen around it. It's crazy. Like, wow, like, and this is the thing. I feel like if there was like a way where they could be together forever, even if they were friends, Jun would probably take that. He probably would never confess. If there was like a proper way where both Jun and Tomo can be together forever by being just best friends, I doubt Jun would ever confess. because that's all he needs. He just needs Tomo to be with him forever. That's all. And for that, he's gonna like, that's crazy. And it's very interesting thinking about it, because if you think about it, as he said, when they were children, obviously they didn't have this much like a thought process. They never thought about anything way past a certain age. They were, he was like, oh, I'm good friends with Tomo, we'll be together. And Tomo was like, yeah, we'll be together as well. But as they grew older, Jun started realizing how other people look at him, how everyone interprets their relationship, and he started getting scared and thinking that, oh, Tomo is going to have her own life, I'm going to have my own life, so obviously we cannot stay together. And that started making him like, kind of like, having conflict with himself, how you should look at Tomo, this and that, and all of those things happened. And now he's again coming to a realization that, yeah, for me to be with Tomo, I cannot be just friends, because it'll take us to a certain point, so I need to do something else. And yeah, wow, this was really good. And I like to like how the whole Misuzu perspective as well, where the exact moment where Misuzu realized that to spend time more with Tomo, I need a middleman between us, who can stop Tomo down a little bit from going too far. And that's why she decided to like, take advantage of June. And June as well was also trying to like, needed like another person who, who she was thinking that, oh, I need another person who can like, kind of mediate between me and Tomo. And that's why she wanted to go out with June, with Misuzu. And that part was the other perspective was also interesting to see. And yeah, there you go. And it's crazy how like, there was like the little part where we seeing that where Misuzu was like, oh, like, even though I don't usually like him, but it felt nice kind of hanging out with him, like as boyfriend and girlfriend. And he was also saying this thing, that's thinking the same thing. But the next day everything went like, completely down the drain, because he dragged Misuzu throughout the whole thing, and he realized that the only person who could keep up with him is Tomo. That's why he later on broke up with Misuzu, and Misuzu also realized that this is just Tomo part 2. Like, it doesn't matter, if I hang out with someone else, which is Jun here. Jun is the same person as like, Tomo, so I need to change stuff. And that's why both of them broke up. Like, that was crazy. Anyways, that was a good episode. How many? I think how many episodes does this have? Let me check. Tomo-chan. Is it 13 or 12? Let me just check real quick. 13. So this is episode 10. 3 more episodes. Looking forward to it. Either way, that's it. Thanks for watching, guys. This was my reaction to episode 10 of Tomo-chan is a Girl. If you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to press the like button and subscribe if you're new to the channel, or you haven't subscribed. Comment down below anything you want to say, anything you want to let me know. I'll check them out. That's it. Thank you for watching, guys. I will see you guys next week with another episode of Tomo-chan is a Girl. Until then, goodbye and have a nice day.